Venice is beautiful. I really, really love it here. The people are really interesting too. I think it's always neat to go to a different culture and get to see the way the people live, and can tell sometimes they don't like tourists too much.
Maybe you have some ideas about what you want to do in your career, where you want to play, but then you have these kind of opportunities that you will never thought about them. So it's like, we are here in Venice, we're going to play in one of the best opera houses in the whole world, famous, and it's like, I mean, so excited.
In November 2011, the University of Georgia ARCO Chamber Orchestra traveled to Venice, Italy to perform a concert with some of the world's leading soloists at the renowned opera house Il Teatro La Fenice. The performance would be part of UNESCO efforts to bring attention to the impact of recent environmental disasters such as earthquakes, tsunamis, typhoons, and floods that have led to the need for people to be better prepared for hazards of both natural and human origin. The ARCO Chamber Orchestra went to Venice to perform music to soothe the savage planet.
Dump your stuff there, take a shower, clean up, whatever, and then we'll meet you in front of San Marco at 12:30 with your instruments. From there, we will walk to the UNESCO office and leave all the instruments there and go to lunch. And then from lunch, we'll go directly to the rehearsal.
What an incredible opportunity for these kids to perform in one of the leading opera houses of the world, in La Fenice. There's so much history behind this. I think when they get in the theater and they see the magnificence of the ornamentation everywhere and the history that's behind this, this will be an experience that they'll never forget.
In the words of the Venetian journalist and author Alberto Tosafei, Venice looks much like a postcard. Transformed by tourism and susceptible to its will and fluctuations, the city has lost many of its inhabitants and the diversity of ordinary shops and tradespeople that once called Venice home. Excluding the possibility of denying access to the more than 20 million persons visiting the city each year, making most of them Venetian is the only choice. Teaching them about Venice, making them interpret the city as a living body with a very delicate texture that needs to be preserved as a unified whole, monuments, fountains, palaces, laundry lines, gondolas, millennia of history, that only lives when all of the pieces are there. The UNESCO Office for the Safeguarding of Venice was established in 1973. In 1989, UNESCO transferred from Paris to Venice the Regional Office for Science and Technology for Europe. And in 2002, the two UNESCO offices were united into a single office in the Renaissance-era Palazzo Zorzi in the Castello district of the city. As host of the concert, the UNESCO offices also served as the rehearsal space for ARCO and the soloist on the afternoon of our arrival, the day before the concert. As a specialized agency of the United Nations, UNESCO works to create the conditions for dialogue among civilizations, cultures, and peoples based upon respect for commonly shared values. Its mission is to contribute to the building of peace, the eradication of poverty, sustainable development, and intercultural dialogue through education, the sciences, culture, communication, and information. The UNESCO Venice office is committed to deepening the scientific knowledge about the world's cultural heritage and fragile ecosystems such as Venice and its lagoon. The concert featuring ARCO was organized to raise awareness about these new environmental and social changes now taking place on a global scale.
The program that has been chosen for this particular concert was almost entirely Italian. So that's why we choose the most popular and most famous works written by Italian composers. Of course, we had to consider that we've been kind of limited in that because ARCO Chamber Orchestra is entirely string ensemble. So that's why we got composers like Albinoni, Vivaldi, Marcello, and along with Italian works we chose the piece by Tchaikovsky, Serenade for String. This music was inspired by Italy, and the name of this work, particular work, was Pezzo in forma di sonatina, which is in Italian. Also we played Paganini, piece for double bass and orchestra, and sonata by Bach, arranged by Italian composer Respighi. So we can say that that was really Italian program.
Among the Venetian composers selected by Ambartsumian for the program, perhaps none is more widely known than Antonio Vivaldi. One of the greatest Baroque composers, Vivaldi had a huge influence on the future development of instrumental music. Born in Venice in 1678, Vivaldi lived there for most of his life, composing instrumental concertos, especially for violin, as well as sacred choral works and over 40 operas. In 1703, when he was only 25, Vivaldi accepted the position of master of violin at an orphanage in Venice called the Pio Ospedale della Pietà. Over the next 30 years, he would compose most of his major works while employed there.
Vivaldi had a great influence on future development of violin technique and music in general. At the beginning, there are several works that every kid has to go through. There are a couple of Vivaldi violin concerti, as well as cellists are also playing Vivaldi concerti. But it's not like a repertoire for study. However, it's very important just for development of technique and sound production. But it's also a huge part of concert repertoire for all musicians, for all great musicians.
A distinguished university professor at UGA, Milton Masiadri has a special connection to Venice and UNESCO. In 1998, Masiadri was awarded the designation of UNESCO Artist for Peace, and in 2011 he was knighted by the city of Venice as a Cavaliere di San Marco. His many international activities have allowed him to connect the Hodgson School of Music with performance opportunities and programs around the world.
Well, this particular event for these students, I know there are many international students in the orchestra, but the possibility of performing in a theater of this caliber, that is one of the most important opera houses in Europe. Here in the United States, for example, some of the students had the opportunity to perform in Carnegie Hall, which is a wonderful theater. But in Europe, many of them, simply the faculty members, have not had the chance to perform in one of these opera houses before. That's what the point that exposed them to such an interesting event. Also, UNESCO is an international organization. It represents every country in the planet, and for that particular performance, our students became international ambassadors for the United Nations, representing all the countries. There were American students, there were some South American students in the group, there were Oriental students in the group, but the fact, at that particular moment, they were not just representing Georgia, they were representing all the countries in the world.
Inaugurated in 1792, Il Teatro La Fenice is one of the most famous opera houses in Europe. The site of major productions by Rossini, Bellini, and Donizetti, La Fenice was destroyed by fire in 1836, but quickly rebuilt. Giuseppe Verdi's long association with La Fenice began in 1844 with a performance of I Mani.
I don't know how it's going to turn out really well, of course, but it's at the same time really nervous. I think that we were so tired that we already crossed the line of being tired to be so exhausted. But anyway, we are so excited about it that we just give everything.
I was so impressed with the flexibility that they're having with the different soloists, the extraordinary preparation that has gone into this. I think this will be really at the very top level. I'm looking forward to the concert as much as anybody, I think, just to hear it. It should be just a magnificent performance.
Very well-known poet writer here from Venice. This will be Italian. This is a UNESCO concert now for the problems that Venice is having.
Well, it makes it real easy to hear each other, and that makes ensemble much easier. So the feeling on stage is excellent, and they're saying it sounds the same way out in the audience, so it's all really good. Wonderful hall. Can't say enough about La Fenice.
David.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, signore e signori, good evening, bonsoir, buonasera a tutti, benvenuti. Venezia vive nella mia fantasia e nella mia realtà, intensamente. Ecco perché sono stata molto felice di accettare l'invito a presentare questa serata, una serata che vuole, attraverso un percorso di musica e di parole, raccontare una sfida e un traguardo. La sfida è quella di affrontare adeguatamente i tempi che si profilano dinanzi a noi, resi nuovi alla storia del mondo dai cambiamenti climatici che si stanno verificando negli ultimi 50 anni. Ai signori artisti, ai veri protagonisti di questa serata, ve li presento. ARCO Chamber Orchestra dell'Università della Georgia, Athens, Stati Uniti. L'ARCO Chamber Orchestra ha un'anima russa e un'anima americana. Poi Milton Mashadri, direttore artistico di questo evento, contrabbassista di fama mondiale, artista UNESCO per la pace. L'orchestra sarà diretta da Alex Klein. Prego.
Exciting to have Alex Klein come in to conduct and play oboe. He's an amazing oboe player. So yeah, it's always a challenge when you go to a new concert hall and you get like one rehearsal because you never know what it's going to sound like in that particular concert hall. In different halls, especially we're playing a lot of pieces with soloists, so and different instruments. So we have a bass soloist, we have an oboe soloist, and we have violin soloist. So depending on the hall, you could need the orchestra to play louder or softer, different soloists to play louder or softer. It's really, you never know until you get in there and have a listen.
Una corda su un tema di Rossini, preghiera, tema e 3 variazioni di Niccolò Paganini, eseguiti da Milton Mashadri, direttore artistico della serata e artista UNESCO per la pace, e dall'Arco Chamber Orchestra, diretta da Levon Ambartsumian.
Sono sicuro che Paganini probabilmente le aveva piaciuto molto di essere nato a Venezia. È nato in un posto... When I joined UNESCO in '98, the first thing they told me, you're not from the country you were born, or you're not from the country you live in. You represent every country when your performances in cultural event. You are represented not only UNESCO, but you're ambassador of all the countries, and that's something that made it clear when we joined. We were tried to, through cultural events, unite all the countries of the world.
Perfettamente inserite nella comunità cittadina che amava e apprezzava la musica che vi veniva eseguita. Alla Pietà, dopo Vivaldi, nella seconda metà del Settecento insegnò musica a un altro grande compositore veneziano.
As a musician, there's always tiny little things, phrases, especially when you're in a big hall, that you need to tweak just a little bit to make sure that the audience can respond, so you're actually having a conversation versus just performing.
This stage was already something very exciting, because like La Fenice Theater, from my experience, it's one of the best acoustically stage in the world. Playing in Venice, of course, and playing Vivaldi, this is like lifetime experience.